What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We are back on the 6 Deuce. If you saw the last episode, you saw us throw together the entire interior. We got our bench seat put in, those custom door panels, all the dash components, as well as the final install on all our air ride parts. Now that we're done inside there, we're gonna jump back out and into the engine compartment where we're gonna be installing our Whipple Supercharger. But before we can get started on that, I'm gonna go ahead and take apart the front side of this truck so I get some of that Poppy's Clear sprayed on it, while Andrew gets started on the front drive kit. All right, so for the clear coat, I'm going to be making a custom sheen. So they don't offer satin, but if you mix gloss and matte, you got satin. All right, I got everything laid out for this Wegner kit. Now this kit is specific for the 3-liter Whipple Supercharger that we're gonna be installing. I mean, this is a whole lot of bling bling, man. Got your belts, alternator, water pump, compressor, power steering pump and reservoir. Got your gaskets, your dampener. It's got everything you need. Our Whipple Supercharger is coming today. We're gonna get everything put on this puppy.
Accessory drive kit is all completed. We've got everything from the pulleys to the belts. Only thing we're missing now is our supercharger, which is our last pulley up at the top here. And it has arrived. Whipple Supercharger. I'm really excited to see this thing. We've got it custom powder coated to match the rest of the paint. Ooh, there it is. Look at that. All right. Got the supercharger unboxed. With our Wegner drive belt kit, they also came with 2 different pulley options. We have a larger 4-inch pulley, which we're going to start with, and then this is the smaller 3.7-inch pulley, turning up the boost. We're going to start here. Don't think we're going to want to end up going this way. The car doesn't have enough tire underneath it, and it doesn't have a built engine, so we're going to keep it nice and mild with the 4-inch. The superchargers ship assembled, but they don't have any O-rings on the lower section or in the mating surfaces. So what you have to do is separate the screw housing from the intercooler manifold section and add all the O-rings. All right, supercharger is prepped. All the parts, all the O-rings, all the pulleys, all the seals are on here. One last piece.
Oh, you're supposed to take that off?
He's kidding. What we got going on is a full billet Nick Williams 103mm throttle body. Give us plenty of flow for this big dog right here.
And it looks nice.
Yeah.
Billet, baby. Ain't no plastic crap around her.
It's beautiful. I call it the Nick Williams $1 million throttle body.
All right, so as we're rounding home up here on the C10, Andrew's working on a couple things. Supercharger is situated. I'm gonna start getting the front end of the truck back on. I wanna take some time and really kind of line up all of our fenders. You see here, I just cut a bunch of washers like this so I could slip them in and get everything to sit pretty flush. All right, we got this front fender looking really good. Nice and even down the line on the top, as well as the bottom. So now that that's on, I can put my side piece here and move around to the other side. All right, well, we got the front end of the truck apart. I think it's a good time to assemble the grille, and we're gonna be using the Holley Retro Bright headlights to give it a more modern look.
got our 2 coolers bolted in, the core support, we know that fits. But we've never actually put this radiator with the fans in since the accessory kit was put on the motor. So this is the moment of truth. Coming down, nice and slow, nice and slow. And we're sitting on the core. And look at that. Tons of room.
All right, so the next step here on the 62, the 6 Deuce, is I'm gonna get the hood put on the truck. It's the last body part that needs to get put on, and we saved it to the last because it's a little tricky. We got these special Porterbuilt hinges with our gas shocks. I'm gonna go ahead and take the gas shocks off because this thing's got so much tension on it that I can't push them down. So I'm gonna get these shocks off and let these hinges lay back flat, and then I'm gonna attach the other side of this bracket onto this hinge. I'm gonna lay my hood on top of it, get it set, positioned onto the truck correctly, left to right, make sure it fits nice across the cowl, and then I'm gonna go ahead and tack the bracket onto the hood, and I'll be able to unbolt it, get the hood back over, put a nice weld on it, get some paint on it, and then we still gotta clear coat it. Boy, it's a shame to cover up that motor, but hood's kind of sitting exactly where we want it. Our line at the cowl is nice and even. It looks good on both sides. It's pretty squared up. So what I'm gonna do is get my old body up in here, and ooh, we're looking good, man. It's nice and flush. I'm gonna be able to get a nice little MIG tack on the front, maybe one on the back, on both sides. Look at this, man. I found somebody's work glove. That is pretty old and gross, man. This truck is something that just keeps on giving. Somehow it was stuck in here. And I swear we've cleaned this thing out, we've sanded it down, and still finding stuff. So now our brackets are in the exact position where they need to be. Now I'll just be able to get a nice little weld on both sides of this. Good to go. So I gotta tell you, man, I was a little skeptical on these hood hinges. A lot of people said you gotta reinforce the cowl. The gas shocks were super hard in the beginning, but now that the hood's on, I gotta say, this thing is perfect. Look at that. All right, now that we got the hood put on, the hinges are all working correctly. We got the clear coat on the underside of it. Sean has requested us to take it back off. I had a feeling that was gonna happen.
So we've got our EFI coils, and I made a bracket that we're gonna mount to the back of the transmission tunnel. We're gonna see if this thing fits. Hopefully we don't have to make any revisions. All right, this is a tight. I've got the coil bracket mounted. Now I can move on to the ignition wires. We have a set of build your own ignition wires. They're black with an orange tracer. We just have to crimp the one end on the coil side. The spark plug end is already provided. All right, so first step, I'm gonna mount all the wires on here so I can get an idea of where they need to go. I have some wire separators here. I have it tucked away from the brake lines and the exhaust manifolds. I'm gonna take some blue tape, mark the area, then we'll be able to take these off of here, get them onto the bench, and we'll crimp all the ends all at one time on the table.
All right, while Andrew's finishing up all those coil wires, I'm gonna go ahead and jump on the Airlift management hard lines. So what we're gonna do is come out of the manifold, come out like that, and then poke down through with a nice grommet, and then we'll make our connections to our soft line. All right, so I got my general layout. one here, one there. Those will be my two centers. This will be my passenger front and my driver front. I'm gonna start with my driver front. I'm gonna make a cut on that mark right there so I could go a little tighter to the manifold. And then the next one will be a little further out, and I'm gonna hug the two going down the side. So we officially got our air ride system working. Right now we're testing this system for leaks. We got some soapy water, spray down all of our fittings like so. Today we're gonna get this truck back on the ground, get her out there to the lift with all of their friends. So we're gonna get on the lift, tighten up some things that we got going on the bottom, but we are very close to firing this puppy up, man.
All right, so we finally moved the C10 into the shop again, out of the clean room. A couple things that we needed to do underneath the vehicle. One of those things being transmission pan. As you can see, the transmission pan is pretty much the lowest point of the whole vehicle, and it sits down pretty low right next to these exhaust manifolds. And what we have here is a G8 pan. So this is out of a Pontiac G8. It's about 1.5 inches shorter overall. And I'm not worried about losing fluid capacity in the pan because we are running a cooler. So there's plenty of volume in the lines in the cooler to offset the amount that we're pulling out of the pan. So with the pan out, now you can see the physical difference. It's not an extreme amount, but it's enough to give us a better clearance. With the truck on the lift, another one of the things that we got to tackle that really should have happened earlier in the build, but just something that kind of slipped my mind, was that we need to pin the crankshaft on this engine. With an LS engine, most of the engine styles don't come with a keyway, and the harmonic dampener is press fit onto the front of the crankshaft snout. With a supercharged application, obviously it's adding a bunch of rotational torque to this dampener. So it could potentially spin the dampener if we don't have a keyway or something holding it in place. What we have from ATI Dampener is a pin kit. So what this does is you remove the dampener, put this in place of the dampener, and this gives you a template to be able to drill the crankshaft to then insert a pin. So we'll have a keyway that won't allow it to spin on the crankshaft snout. So I've bolted the fixture down using the original dampener bolt, and now I'm gonna put my drill guide in there. This will go in here, and then I have a hold down screw, so it'll keep that drill guide from moving around anywhere. Now I've got this fixture in here and the set screw holding the fixture. I'm gonna start drilling. All right, now that we're drilled all the way through the center, now I can ream it. Switch out the guide for the ream guide. So we finished the drilling. I've got my pin already installed into the snout. Now we can start reassemble everything. All we gotta do is line up the keyway on our dampener holder and start installing.
All right, guys, we got the crank pinned, we got our transmission pan replaced, and of course, we got the blower and the front drive accessory kit installed. So we're very close to getting this thing to fire up. We still have a couple things to wire up, some coolant lines. We got to get our ECU unlocked, But we can't exactly close out the episode without at least showing you guys some of these belts and pulley spin. And look at those retro bright headlights from Holley. Those things are super bright and modern, looking fresh. Go ahead, Dave, hit that ignition. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. I don't know, man, I don't think that's enough. I think we need to have a little engine noise. Khalil. Yeah, I think that'll do, guys. Next time you see this truck, it's gonna have all the glass put in, our 2-piece drive shaft will be installed, and you're gonna see this thing rolling down the streets. So make sure you hit the link in the bio, subscribe so you don't miss out on next week's episode. Hasta la pasta.
We got Snorkel Steve over here.
Scuba Steve.
Scuba, you'd have a respirator.
So literal, Andrew. Air ride parts.